Your truck is embarrassing. My new man has a real car. My cheating wife mocked me while taking my credit cards. I just nodded and made one phone call. Now she's forced to live in her car. Initial post I, 36M, didn't discover my wife Tara's 34F betrayal through texts or lipstick on collars. It was through our smart doorbell of all things. For context, I work at a fleet maintenance company as a heavy diesel mechanic, specializing in trucks and commercial vehicles. I make good money, enough that we bought a decent house in a nice neighborhood 3 years ago. I drive a 2014 F-250 that's perfect for my job, hauling equipment and weekend projects. It's not fancy, but it's practical and paid off. Tara works in pharmaceutical sales and has always been image conscious. When we met 7 years ago, she seemed to find my blue-collar work charming and authentic. Her words, not mine. Last month, I was away at a 3-day certification course. On day 2, I got a notification from our doorbell camera. It was 11:43 p.m., so I checked it immediately, thinking it might be an emergency. It was Tara coming home with a guy in a tailored suit. They were laughing, obviously drunk. As he helped her find her keys, she said something that stopped me cold. God, it feels good to be with a real man who drives a real car. My husband's truck is so embarrassing. The neighbors probably think we're rednecks. The guy, who I'd later learn was Elliot, her regional manager, laughed and said, "Well, at least the truck matches his job. Grease Monkey needs a monkey mobile." They both cracked up at that. Then Tara said, "Don't worry, I've been using his credit cards to build my escape fund. Another 2 months and I'll have enough to leave his ass and get my own place closer to the office. Then we won't have to hide anymore." They kissed right there on my porch before heading inside my house. I watched the whole thing 3 times, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. We'd been together for 7 years, married for 5. I thought we were happy. Sure, we had the occasional argument about money. I'm more frugal, she likes nice things. But nothing that explained this. I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I called in sick to the final day of my certification, I can complete it later, and drove the 4 hours home. But not before making one very important phone call to my cousin, who happens to be a financial advisor. When I pulled into our driveway at 2 p.m., Elliot's shiny Audi was parked in my spot. I parked my embarrassing truck right behind it, blocking him in. The look on their faces when I walked in was almost worth the heartbreak. They were having lunch at our dining table, the one my grandfather made by hand, drinking the expensive wine I'd been saving for our anniversary. "You're supposed to be at your course," Tara said, not even bothering to act surprised or guilty. Elliot stood up, straightening his designer tie. "I should go." "Good luck with that," I said, tossing my keys on the counter. "My embarrassing truck is blocking your real car." Tara's face went pale. "What are you talking about?" I pulled out my phone and played the doorbell video from the night before. The color drained from her face as she heard her own voice mocking me, revealing her plans. "The doorbell," she whispered. I forgot about the stupid doorbell. Elliot grabbed his jacket. "Tara, handle this. Call me when he's gone." I laughed. "When I'm gone? This is my house. My name's on the mortgage, and FYI, genius, her name isn't on a single financial account. I checked." This was technically true. While we had joint accounts when we first got married, Tara had complained about my financial controlling to her family so much that I'd suggested separate accounts 2 years ago to keep the peace. Best decision ever in retrospect. Tara found her voice. "You can't just throw me out. I'm your wife. I'm entitled to half of everything." "Including the credit card debt you've been racking up?" I asked calmly. "Because that one call I made this morning was to freeze all the cards and request detailed statements for the past 6 months. Should be interesting reading." Elliot looked at Tara. "You said you were using your own money." Tara ignored him. "I need those cards. I have expenses." "Like hotel rooms with Elliot? Dinners at places I've never been? Designer clothes I've never seen you wear?" I was still eerily calm. The shock was keeping me numb. Elliot's phone buzzed. He checked it and frowned. I have to get back to the office. Move your truck. Sure thing, I said, as soon as Tara packs an overnight bag and leaves with you. What? They both said in unison. I'm changing the locks in an hour. Tara can come back with a police escort this weekend to get the rest of her stuff. Until then, I need space in my house that I pay for. Tara started crying, those practiced tears that never quite reached her eyes. You can't do this. Where am I supposed to go? I shrugged. Elliot drives a real car. I'm sure he has a real apartment to match. Or maybe your parents can take you in. Either way, not my problem anymore. The next hour was a blur of screaming, threats, and finally, reluctant packing. Elliot kept checking his watch, clearly regretting his life choices. When Tara had stuffed a suitcase with as many designer clothes as she could fit, I moved my truck. As they pulled away in his Audi, I made my second important call of the day, to a locksmith. More updates to come. This is just the beginning. Update 1. 1 week later. Things have escalated quickly since my last post. The locksmith came within the hour. He was a gruff older guy who verified my ID matched the name on the utility bills and mortgage statement I showed him, then got to work. By dinner time, I had new locks, a new security code, and had changed all my passwords. That night, I went through our financial records with a fine-tooth comb. What I found made me physically sick. Over the past 8 months, Tara had opened 3 credit cards in my name, identity theft anyone? Racked up over $35,000 in charges, made minimum payments from our joint savings account, which I'd been contributing to for a house renovation, purchased a $7,200 Cartier watch for Elliot's birthday, labeled as Mom's medical expenses in our budget app. I documented everything, then took all the evidence to the police the next morning to file a report for identity theft and fraud. The officer was sympathetic but warned me it would be complicated given our marital status. Still, the report was filed. Then came the barrage. First, Tara's mother called, screaming that I was an abusive monster for throwing her baby out on the street. I let her rant, then calmly played the doorbell video over the phone. The silence afterward was deafening. I'll call you back, she finally said, and hung up. Next was Elliot's wife. Yes, wife. Turns out Mr. Real Car with a real job also had a very real marriage he'd neglected to mention to Tara. She'd found my number on their phone bill and wanted answers. I gave her copies of everything, including the doorbell video. She was devastated but grateful. He told me he was working late all those nights, she said tearfully. We have 3 kids. That afternoon, my lawyer served Tara with divorce papers at her parents' house, where she'd apparently been staying after Elliot's wife confronted him. The papers included evidence of identity theft and financial fraud, a restraining order preventing her from entering our home unsupervised, a detailed accounting of all marital assets and debts, with the fraudulent charges highlighted. 2 days later, Tara showed up at my workplace with her father. She caused a scene in front of my colleagues, screaming that I was trying to leave her with nothing and that I owed her for the years she wasted with me. My boss, who has known me for over a decade, calmly asked them to leave or he'd call the police. As security escorted them out, Tara shouted, "Enjoy your pathetic truck and your pathetic job. I was too good for you anyway." Her father looked mortified. That evening, I received a series of increasingly desperate texts from Tara. Please call off the fraud investigation. They're talking about pressing charges. I didn't mean to take that much money. I just needed some independence. Elliot dumped me. His wife took the kids and the house. My parents are making me pay rent. Can you believe that? Can I please just come home? We can work this out. I didn't respond to any of them. Yesterday, I had the most interesting visitor, Elliot's wife, Rachel. She brought coffee and asked if we could talk. She'd filed for divorce and wanted to compare notes to make sure neither of us got screwed over in the process. We ended up talking for 3 hours, mostly about the pain of betrayal and the struggle to make sense of it all. "Nice truck, by the way," she said as she was leaving. My dad was a mechanic. He always said you can tell a lot about a person by how they maintain their vehicle. This morning, Tara's lawyer called mine. Apparently, she wants to settle quickly and quietly. My lawyer thinks the fraud charges have her spooked, as they should. The detective handling the case called yesterday to say they're building a solid case. I'll update again after the settlement meeting next week. For now, I'm taking it one day at a time. Update 2. The settlement meeting and surprises. The settlement meeting was scheduled at my lawyer's office. I arrived early, my stomach in knots despite knowing I had the upper hand legally. What I didn't expect was to find Tara already there, looking nothing like the polished, confident woman I'd married to. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, her designer clothes replaced by jeans and a plain sweater. The dark circles under her eyes suggested she hadn't been sleeping well. As soon as she saw me, she tried to approach, but my lawyer smoothly intervened, directing me to our side of the conference table. Tara's attorney, a stern woman with a no-nonsense demeanor, gave me a curt nod. Before we could begin, Tara's phone rang. She glanced at it, grimaced, and silenced it. This happened 3 more times during the first 30 minutes of the meeting. Each time, her face grew more anxious. The settlement discussions were surprisingly straightforward. Given the evidence of financial fraud and identity theft, Tara's position was weak. Her lawyer knew it and had apparently advised Tara to accept a settlement that was more than fair. I would keep the house and my retirement accounts. She would keep her personal belongings, and we agreed she would continue making payments on her leased Lexus that I had been covering. We would split the legitimate marital debt 50-50, but she would assume 100% responsibility for the fraudulent credit card charges. Just as we were wrapping up, Tara's phone rang again. This time she excused herself to take the call. Through the glass wall of the conference room, I could see her face crumble as she listened to whoever was on the other end. When she returned, she was visibly shaken. "Can we take a short break?" her lawyer requested. During the break, I overheard snippets of an intense conversation between Tara and her attorney. "Repossessed this morning. Missed 3 payments. Credit score is tanked. Need a co-signer." When we reconvened, Tara looked defeated. She signed the settlement agreement without further negotiation. As we were gathering our papers to leave, she asked if she could speak to me privately. Against my better judgment, I agreed, with our lawyers waiting just outside. "They're threatening to take my car," she said, her voice small. "The leasing company called during our meeting. Apparently the last 3 payments bounced." I said nothing, waiting for her to continue. Elliot had promised to help with the payments after everything happened, but he ghosted me completely. His wife took him for everything in their divorce. "That's unfortunate," I said neutrally. "I need a favor," she said, not meeting my eyes. "Just a small loan until I get back on my feet. Just enough for a down payment on a used car. I can't get to work without one." "What happened to your escape fund?" I asked. "The one you were building with my credit cards?" She flinched. "I had to use it for legal fees and to pay my parents back for letting me stay with them." "And where are you staying now?" I was curious despite myself. "A coworker's couch," she admitted, "but she wants me out by the end of the month." I thought about it for a moment. Part of me wanted to tell her exactly where she could go, but another part, the part that remembered the good times before everything fell apart, felt a twinge of pity. "I have a better idea," I finally said. "I know someone selling a car. It's not fancy, but it runs well and it's cheap. No loan needed." Her eyes lit up with hope. "Really? That would be... Thank you." "Don't thank me yet," I said. "It's not a gift. You'll work it off." "Work it off? How?" I explained that a buddy of mine owned a small cleaning company that needed part-time help on weekends. The pay wasn't great, but it was something. And after 6 months of consistent work, the car would be hers free and clear. "A cleaning company?" she repeated, her voice tinged with disgust. "You want me to be a maid?" And just like that, any remaining sympathy I had evaporated. "No, Tara, I don't want you to be anything. I was trying to help, But clearly some jobs are beneath the woman who mocked her husband's truck and career while stealing from him. I stood up to leave, but she grabbed my arm. Wait, I'm sorry. I'll take it. The job, the car, whatever. I'm desperate. That's not my problem anymore, I said, removing her hand from my arm. Good luck with everything. As I walked out, my lawyer gave me an approving nod. Tara's attorney just looked tired. Later that day, I got a call from the detective handling the fraud case. Despite the divorce settlement, the DA was moving forward with charges. The investigation revealed she had used the fraudulent cards during our trips to neighboring states, which bumped it to federal charges. Tara would be arrested the following morning. I felt strangely empty at the news. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was simply justice running its course. That evening I got a text from Rachel, Elliot's ex-wife. Heard the news? How are you holding up? We made plans to meet for coffee that weekend. More updates soon. Final update. 6 months later. It's been just over a year since my world turned upside down, and I think it's time for a final update. Tara pled guilty to reduced charges of credit card fraud and identity theft. She got 3 years of probation, mandatory financial counseling, and 500 hours of community service. As part of her plea deal, the court formally ordered the restitution payments we had already agreed to in our settlement, plus additional interest and fees. The irony? Her community service assignment is picking up trash along the highway, often in the same areas where I drive my truck for work. Sometimes I see her in that bright orange vest, and it's hard to reconcile that person with the woman who once sneered at my embarrassing vehicle. After her arrest made the local news, Tara lost her pharmaceutical sales job. Turns out companies don't like having felons representing their brand to doctors. She tried to find similar work but kept running into the same problem. Her crime was financial fraud, and sales jobs require handling company funds and expense accounts. Last I heard, she's working as a server at a diner on the edge of town. She's living in a studio apartment that her parents help subsidize. The court garnishes 25% of her wages for restitution payments to me, which will continue for approximately the next 8 years. Her parents, who initially treated me like I was the villain, have come around. Her father actually called to apologize. We raised her better than this, he said gruffly. Always gave her everything she wanted. Maybe that was the problem. As for me, life has taken some unexpected turns. The fleet maintenance company I worked for offered me a partnership track after our biggest client specifically requested me as their account manager. My boss later told me they were impressed by my professionalism during the whole divorce drama. I'm still in our house, though it feels different now. I've remodeled the kitchen, something Tara always wanted but we could never afford, while she was secretly spending thousands on her affair. The most surprising development has been my relationship with Rachel, Elliot's ex-wife. What started as mutual support through similar trauma has grown into something more. We've been dating for 4 months now. She's a kindergarten teacher with a wicked sense of humor and 3 amazing kids who think my truck is the coolest thing ever. I've been teaching her 12-year-old son basic mechanics on the weekends. Last month I ran into Elliot at a gas station. He was driving a used Hyundai instead of his precious Audi. Apparently Rachel got that in their divorce. He couldn't meet my eyes and quickly paid for his gas and left. 2 weeks ago, I was at the diner where Tara works. I didn't know she worked there. I was meeting a client who suggested the place. When she saw me walk in with my client and realized she would have to serve us, her face went through about 5 different emotions in 3 seconds. To her credit, she handled it professionally. She called me sir, took our orders without commentary, and kept our coffee cups filled. My client had no idea about our history. As we were paying, Tara finally spoke directly to me. "The truck looks good. New paint job?" "Just a good detail and wax," I replied. "Takes maintenance to keep things running, right?" She nodded, understanding the double meaning. I'm learning that the hard way. When I left, I tipped her generously, not out of pity, but because the service was good and everyone deserves fair compensation for honest work. Yesterday, my lawyer forwarded me documents from the court case. Tara had petitioned to reduce her restitution payments, claiming financial hardship. The judge denied her request, citing her pattern of prioritizing luxury over responsibility. Rachel asked me if I felt vindicated by how everything turned out. I had to think about it. "It's not about winning," I finally said. "It's about consequences. Tara chose to mock me, cheat on me, and steal from me instead of either working on our marriage or leaving honestly. Now she's living with the results of those choices." As I write this final update, I'm sitting in my garage, working on a vintage motorcycle that Rachel's father left her when he passed. My embarrassing truck is parked next to it, recently serviced and running perfectly. Out the window, I can see Rachel and her kids playing in the backyard that Tara always complained was too small for entertaining. Tara wanted a man with a real car. Now she drives a weathered Honda Civic between her tiny apartment, the diner, and her community service assignments. Her Instagram, which a mutual friend still follows, has gone from designer outfits and expensive restaurants to inspirational quotes about rebuilding and finding strength. As for me, I'm exactly who I've always been, a mechanic who drives a truck, lives within his means, and values honesty above appearances. The difference is now everyone else can see the value in that too. Sometimes the best revenge isn't anything you do. It's simply removing yourself from the equation and letting natural consequences take their course.